Hello, welcome to this week's edition of the talk show. I remain Elijah Ho Tanimola. I'm so glad to have you join me tonight, and I'm so happy to be here with you. As you know, on the show, we discuss on issues related to relationship, marriage, and lifestyle. Last week, I discussed on the subject Name Her Correctly. And if you have not seen that video, check it out on my YouTube channel. Feel free to share, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. This week, I'll be dealing with the subject, My Wife, My Asset. This is a continuation of last week's subject. I want you to understand that the woman that God has given to you is an asset. She is your God-given asset. The Bible says in the book of Proverbs chapter 18 verse 22 says, he who finds a true wife, Amplified Version, finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. That is, that woman carries a favor dimension for you, for your life. She carries a favor dimension that God has created her to complete you, to make you perfect, to help you in your journey in life. She's not a liability. You must understand this. You must identify this. You must recognize this, and you must honor this. You know, I get amused when with the popular vows that we have said over the years, said for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health. I ask myself, could it have been the same vow that Adam would have told Eve in the beginning? I can see that because the man was in a state that was totally alien to evil. Our mental disposition, our spiritual disposition was totally alien to poverty, was totally alien to sickness, was totally alien to a worse life. He can only see progression. He can only see a forward and upward progression. And that is how we should see marriage. That is how we should see our lives. God didn't design marriage to make you worse off. He doesn't design marriage to make you experience fluctuations in your life. If you are at this level of success before you get married, the moment you get married, you should scale higher, not lower, not a fluctuating life. Am I saying there won't be challenges? No, there will be challenges. But I'm saying that when you see marriage in the light of what God originally ordained it for, you'll be able to see these challenges as stepping stones onto greater heights. You will be able to resist anything that does not fall in line, that does not align with God's original provision for marriage. You'll be able to resist it. You will not tolerate it. A lot of people are tolerating a lot of things in their marriages that God didn't design it to be so. Why? Because they have not seen the original picture. If you see that in your marriage sickness is normal, you just need to manage it, just need to enjoy it, you will not be able to fight, to resist that fluctuation. You will not be able to resist it. You will keep tolerating it. And the more you tolerate it, the more you experience fluctuation in your marriage. God didn't design marriage for man to just get by. He doesn't design marriage for man to just stay inside, to just suffer in silence. He designed marriage to help the state of man that God saw that was not good, to improve that state. Therefore, the woman that God brings your way, carries a favor dimension. You must recognize this. You must understand this. She is your asset. The Bible says a prudent wife is from the Lord. She is God's heritage, sent to bless your life, sent to improve your life. The Bible says the path of the righteous shines brighter and brighter unto the perfect day. That is the reality of our lives. Part of what Jesus Christ came to do is to restore us majorly to the original state that God created man to live, including our marriage, including the original state of the marriage institution. God's idea remains that we enjoy heaven on earth marriage, nothing less. And you must accept this. You must understand this. Marriage was designed to bless your life. It was designed to improve the state of your life. It was designed to add to your life positively. The Bible says, one shall take 1,000, two shall put 10,000 to flight. It says, two are better than one, for they shall eat the good of their labor. He said, when one falls, the other will pull him up. He said, when one is cold, the other will make him warm. That is the situation of your life that was not perfect before, the other party comes to make it perfect. Instead of you to remain in the ditch, the other partner is there to pull you out of the ditch. It's not for worse situations. It's not for things to get worse for you. It's for you to improve, to experience higher glory. The glory of the latter shall surpass the former. That's what the Bible says. You must understand this, and you must see it, because until you see it, you will keep tolerating what is not the ideal. And what you tolerate, you won't see. What you can't see, you won't be able to embrace. I want you to recognize the favor dimension of your wife. She carries a favor dimension. For some, it could be a career dimension of favor. The moment she comes into your life, things start working for you in your career. You start experiencing unusual promotion. You start experiencing unusual growth, unusual recognition in your place of work. And this starts getting better for you. For some, it's a favor dimension in the area of ministry. The things you do not have courage to do before, the things that God has asked you to do, has told you to do, the vision that God has put in your heart that you do not have the courage to step out and do before, she comes with a favor dimension of encouragement, of support that builds courage in you to step out. Recognize that favor dimension. Honor that favor dimension. Maximize that favor dimension. For some, it's a favor dimension in the area of their finance. Things start improving financially. Our presence, it's not that she may not really contribute anything in the physical, but she carries an aura of grace that is bringing favor to you financially. For some, it is a favor dimension that can only be termed as peace. I mean, the moment she comes into your life, there's calmness in your life. You experience calmness. The things that used to agitate you before, you no longer feel agitated. That is why there are some guys that when they start going out with the certain ladies, they were once aggressive, but you just notice that things have changed about them. No more aggression. They experience calm. That means that it could mean that woman carries an aura of grace, a favor dimension that can only be known as peace. For some, it's a favor dimension of balance. The moment that woman comes into your life, you experience balance. The fluctuations you have been experiencing in your life before becomes balanced. For some, it's a favor dimension of restoration. What you have lost before, you start recovering them, including your emotional stability. You start recovering them. Your sanity, you start recovering them. Your confidence, you start recovering them. There's a restoration that she brings. An era of grace, a favor dimension of restoration. You know, the Bible says concerning Rebecca, the Bible says, and Isaac brought Rebecca to her mother's tent. And he was comforted after his mother's death. What does this mean? Rebecca carried a favor dimension of comfort and rest for Isaac. And you will see it later on when there was famine in the land and everybody was leaving town, and Isaac went to God and God told him, don't leave, stay in that land and sow. The woman didn't protest. The woman didn't say, no, I can't stay with you. We have to go. She brought comfort to her. She carries a grace of comfort, a grace of rest. You know what? one thing you must understand is this. There are some women that you will see, they make it easy for you to obey God. They make it easy for you to honor God. I see this favor dimension even in the life of my own wife. She doesn't stress me when it comes to what God asks me to do. She simply supports. That's a favor dimension. You must not take that for granted. That is very important. If you are in ministry, this favor dimension is very, very important for you. Once you say God says, she doesn't give you problem. She carries a favor dimension of comfort and rest. I want you to recognize that favor dimension in the life of your wife. What favor dimension does she carry? Is it in the area of administration? Is it in the area of finance? Is it a favor dimension of comfort? Recognize that favor dimension. To some, it is a favor dimension of a supportive ally. Don't take that loyalty for granted. Recognize it. Honor it. I tell people that one of the scarce assets you can have in this, you can see in this generation is loyalty. Friends betray one another. Family betray one another. Loyalty is scarce. When you see a wife that is loyal to you, please honor that. Recognize that. Celebrate her for that. To some, it's a favor dimension of a rugged believer. You sold your vision to her and she takes it as her own. She believes it ruggedly. Even when you are in doubt, she is quick to remind you of what you told her that God told you. She reminds you of the glorious things that God has promised. She reminds you of the great testimonies you have had in time past, such that helps you to forge ahead. So many great men that we celebrate today, one way or the other, in time past, they've wanted to quit. They've tried to quit, but they had wives who are rugged believers. I've heard of men who, when they wanted to quit, their wives supported them and said, no, you are not quitting this. And that is how they can attain the heights that God has ordained for them. Don't take that for granted. That's a favor dimension she carries. Recognize that. For some, it's a favor dimension it could be a favor dimension of a starter, of a runner, of a finisher in terms of projects, in terms of visions. So many great organizations, so many great men that you have seen, one way or the other, they have weaknesses in one area or the other. But what they have been able to do is to maximize the relationships around them. Some idealists, they can create ideas, but they lack the capacity. They are weak in the area of executing those ideas, starting it. So they look for relationships around that can help them start it. Look inwards. Your wife may be a good starter. Her strength may be a good starter. That vision, that project that you have been sluggish in starting because you are weak in the area of starting things like that, look inwards. The strength you need may be in that woman. That may be her favor dimension. Don't take that for granted. Maximize it. SWOT analysis tells us that when we maximize our strength, we will be able to maximize our opportunities. Why you have not been able to maximize the opportunities that have come your way is because you have not recognized and maximized the strength of your wife. Recognize our favor dimension. For some, they are good runners. They can manage teams. They can manage projects. They are good administrators. They may be weak in the area of starting. They may be sluggish in starting that project with you. Just understand them. know that it's just their weakness, not that they are not interested. Some of them, they like to study before they jump on the wagon. But the moment they join the wagon, they follow through to the end. They become your strongest ally. Even when others are falling off, they remain there. She may be a good runner. Just trust God. Step out. Trust God that she will catch up with you. And I'm telling you, if she catches up with, the moment she catches up with you, you will bless God for such gift, for such asset. Recognize her asset. Recognize her strength. I've said it that most of the time God brings to us women that whose dominant potential, whose dominant strength lies in the area of our weaknesses. And you must recognize this. Recognize our favor dimension. Celebrate it. Honor it. Identify it correctly. Name her correctly. Name her by the favor dimension she carries. What she has been sent to bring to you, the addition she's sent to bring to you. Like I said, your wife is your asset. Don't take that asset for granted. Please and please recognize this. Honor it. Don't allow your ego to despise her favor dimension, the grace she carries. That will be tantamount to foolishness. You have an asset and you cannot maximize it. That's foolishness. Don't allow your ego to despise her. Don't allow your ego to despise what she carries. It doesn't show that you are weak when you maximize her strength. It only shows that you are wise. There are some deals that I don't even bother myself about. I just tell my wife to front it. Why? Because I know that she can actually strike a better deal than I can in that area concerning that particular project. That's recognizing a favor dimension. She is an asset. Maximize that asset. Don't be foolish. Be wise. Look inwards. Sit down. Evaluate your wife. Be sensitive to her areas of strength. Identify her favor dimension. Recognize her grace. I know the Holy Spirit can help you out in this. Preserve that favor dimension by honor. Preserve that asset with honor. Maximize her favor dimension. Recognize it. Honor it. Honor your fully packaged wife. Remember, he that finds a wife, a true wife, a prudent wife that comes from God, finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Now, the last part I would like to look at is this. You know, at the time when there was so much addition for gender equality and the rest, and I started asking God questions. I started asking, why is this protest? Is this how you ordained it? And he directed me to the beginning. And this is the question I had in my heart. Why didn't the first woman protest? And this is what I found out. She didn't protest because the man named her correctly. Simple. And obviously the woman must have known herself first before the man came. Because if you don't know yourself, you can't know whether you can't answer the name that you are named. You won't know whether someone named you correctly or not. So she must have known herself. She must have known herself by her creational standard. The man named her correctly. She had no cause to protest. It was a correct naming. The bone of my bones, the flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. He saw her as of equal value, equal worth, equal importance. He didn't see her as inferior. Therefore, the woman was able to accept this. She had no cause to protest. She had confidence in the sanity and the intelligence of that man, because he named her correctly. He named her by a creational standard. When you name the woman, the female gender correctly, they won't protest. A sane woman will not protest when you name her by a creational standard. That helped her self-esteem. It boosted her self-esteem, or let's say it made her self-esteem to be intact. You know, so many people believe that every woman is proud. That is why they are fighting for gender equality. But I found out it's not always so. It's just that this generation, there is more enlightenment in the area of their worth, of the worth of the female gender. And now they are protesting the name that they have been called over the years, which obviously it has not been the right naming. The right naming is naming her by her creational standard. Equal value, equal worth, equal importance, not inferior, not a slave. She's valuable as you are. Another thing is that the man named identify her dominant potential. That gave that woman the confidence that her potentials will not be lost in transit in that marriage. It gave her the confidence that her potentials will flourish and will blossom in that marriage. She saw the man as a gardener, someone that has the capacity to recognize and to cultivate her potentials for her to fully blossom to the original and the ordained plan and purpose of God for her life. When you name your wife like this, she has no cause to protest. She's confident that her potentials, her visions will not be killed, will not die in that marriage, but rather it will keep blossoming. You know why she's protesting? Perhaps it's because you have made her of no value. You have not recognized her potentials. You have not cultivated her potentials. You do not give her potentials free environment to thrive, to flourish. She will protest that. The man named her correctly. Another thing is this: the man must have recognized and honored her favor dimension. When you recognize and honor a woman's favor dimension, you know what? She sticks to you. She sticks to you. Everyone wants to be celebrated. When you celebrate her favor dimension, you recognize it. When it's in that area, you call her and you tell her, babe, please do this for me. I know this is your area of strength. Do it. She is happy. She sees that you recognized what she carries. Whatever you honor, you will attract. Whatever you celebrate will be committed to stay with you. She will stay with you. She will not protest, because you continually celebrate and honor her favor dimension. That's probably why she didn't protest. That is obviously why she didn't protest, the first woman. And if you follow through with these two, your wife will not protest. She won't keep protesting. No sane woman protest the right naming, the correct naming, the correct recognition, the right recognition that her husband gives to her. If you give her the right recognition, if you honor her the way you should honor her, no sane woman, no sane wife will protest against that. Understand that. That is obviously why she didn't protest. I said from last week, know yourself, prioritize correctly, develop yourself, name her correctly, identify her dominant potentials. I said this week, she is your asset. She carries a favor dimension. And you must recognize that when you combine all these things, she has no cause to protest. And that is what you need. That is what you need to transform the present realities of your life, of your marriage, to the ideal of God. Finally, I would like to share some few notes with you. The first thing is this: understand that whatever you do not identify, you cannot recognize. And whatever you cannot recognize, you cannot maximize. 2, whatever you don't honor, you cannot attract. Therefore, if you don't honor the favor dimension of your wife, it cannot profit you. 3, an asset that you do not value or recognize its worth will not pay for your suffering, even though it can. An asset you do not recognize, you do not value or recognize its worth will not pay for your suffering, even though it can. That woman is an asset, but if you do not value her or recognize her worth, you will keep suffering in certain areas that she has been meant to actually help you on. And number 4, your wife, understand that your wife will remain a dormant asset until you identify, start recognizing, and continually honor a favor dimension that she carries, the favor dimension she carries for your completion and perfection. I'll say that again. Your wife will remain a dormant asset until you start to identify, start recognizing, and continually honoring the favor dimension she carries for your completion and perfection. And I will also say this: if at all you notice that the favor dimension you used to experience, the progress you used to experience when you first met your wife is no longer there, you no longer experience it, you no longer enjoy it, look inwards. Examine the way you have been treating her of late. Do you honor her? Have you been making her happy? Check that out. That could be the main cause. The Bible says, the book of 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7. I would like to quote from the Message translation. It says, be good husbands to your wives. Honor them. Delight in them. As wives, they lack some of your advantages. It says, but in the new life of God's grace, you are equals. Treat them as equals, so that your prayers will not run aground. Treat them the right way. Name her correctly. That could be the missing ingredient in your marriage. When you start doing that, I trust that you start experiencing a divine transformation in your marriage, from what you are experiencing right now to the ideal of God for your life and for your marriage. And that will not stop. It will keep moving from glory to glory to glory unto the perfect day. I trust that you'll be able to gain something on this edition, and I trust that as you continue, as you start maximizing this wisdom that have been shared with you, it will profit your life and it will profit the lives of everyone around you. Till I come your way next week, I will say God bless you, and please remain safe. Bye for now.